We're live.
Absolutely. Yo, what's up? What's going on today? How y'all doing today? Everybody tuned in. Tonight we're gonna be digging under the hood of one of the most underrated plays in crypto, Quant. Not because it's flashy, because it's kind of invisible. It's infrastructure that, if it works, becomes indispensable. Is Quant the trust layer? Is it aiming to put legacy rails on train? The short answer, yes, that's ambition. But here's the real talk. Bridging blockchain is one thing. Bridging legacy systems, banks, government compliance, and real money, that's a whole nother ball game that only a few dare to run. So tonight, we're going to be decoding Quant, where it came from, how it works, what it offers, where it might fail, and why for a few of us, it might be the rails that's under the rails. So let's start at the very beginning of where all this come from.
Hey, bro. Let's welcome
What's going
everybody to the stream. Set for Life Crypto. We want to welcome y'all in this evening. We're going to be going
what's
over some
going
great
on?
information. We got the Crypto General, my boy Broderick right here, and
What's
Crypto
going
Kurt.
on,
We're going to be
family?
bringing you this information this evening. And I know a lot of you have been around crypto for a while, or some of you, and you know that a lot of projects chase hype. They chase memes, they chase quick gains, flashy narratives, but Quant's different. It's not about chasing the next pump. It's about building the plumbing that connects legacy finance, enterprise, and blockchain ecosystems. So you guys need to pay attention to what my brother Broderick here is talking about this evening in Crypto General. He's going to bring you this information on Quant and what it means for the crypto industry. Go ahead and get it, brother.
Okay, man, we're gonna get deep into what quant is, how it works, and who created it, why they created it, all of the details of it. You know what I mean? So y'all stay tuned in with us and get some of this good information. So Quant is a network that was founded by Gilbert Verdian in 2015. It was actually rooted in cybersecurity in the public sector. Gilbert Verdian saw that blockchain would fracture, that you would end up with a maze of ledgers that can't talk to each other or to the old system that we already rely on. So banks, enterprises, and databases, things of those sort. Um, his vision was to build networks of networks. That makes sense. It's a protocol that doesn't force migration or fork consensus. It becomes the substrate that allows everything to interoperate, which is the big thing that Brad Garlinghouse always was talking about is interoperability. We need something that can work seamlessly through different blockchains or through different networks. So this is the vision of Quant, and what its ambitions is to do is to bring the legacy rails and the legacy financial system onto the blockchain network. So this is what they're aiming to do. Um, the name Overledger came early. The idea is that you don't build new ledgers, you build over existing ones. Sorry, I got some kind of gnat or something flying. You just build over the existing rails that already exist, and it becomes a universal operating system. So you're just trying to pull everything together and place it on blockchain where everything is transparent, everything is secure, all of the benefits that blockchain technology actually bring to the table. That's what Quant is trying to bring the legacy rails over to, if that makes sense. Quant Quant's position itself It's not as another blockchain, but as the operating system, the middleware interoperability layer, which is the trust layer that governments, banks, developers lean on rather than trying to replace the foundations. Its mission is ambitious: enable legacy systems plus bank rails plus desperate blockchains to talk to each other, to transact, to share data, to securely and compliantly with trust built in. You understand? So it is the trust layer that is being used in order to make all of these systems work, because it's almost bro, how would you say it? Like one system don't want to use the other system's network, right? Like would be a good way to say it.
Mm, not yes and no. So like, let's say one
One
country,
system don't want to use
let's say
another
China doesn't
system's
trust
rail.
America's infrastructure, and so China doesn't want to use an American-based company for
Right,
their rails. So then they
right.
could use their Chinese-based company, and then use Quant as the intermediary layer in between the
It'll be the
American
trust
system
layer
and
that'll
their system, which allows them to operate in between those two systems the same way as they would if it was just one system.
absolutely. It's the infrastructure that would allow those two systems to actually speak with each other.
So there's a lot of this hype
So
running around right now about this Swift and Linea deal, right? Linea is trying to come in and do the same thing that XRP does, but Swift is actually doing it with them. Um, So that's like this big hype thing that's going on right now is the deal between Swift and Linea to do what XRP was supposed to do. But the whole thing about it is it's not going to take over XRP. It's all going to interoperate with each other. So Linea will get a portion of Swift's messaging system in certain areas in certain places. XRP will get it in certain places in certain areas. It's all going to be split between different infrastructures, different blockchains. So that's where Quant is going to come in, and it's going to connect all of those different blockchains to operate seamlessly together.
okay. So like we were saying, Quant will be the trust layer that allows these systems to talk to each other, to actually trust each other's networks. That's what it's all about. They have to seamlessly be able to operate without any friction in order for everything to work the way it's supposed to work. So that's what Quant is going to be used as. It's the trust layer that's going to act as a plus to all the rest of the networks. Like XRP is the settlement layer. So you got to have trust in it in order to even get to the settlement part. So Quant is going to be a big deal. It has some competition, and we'll get to that later on. Let me kind of finish getting through this article real quick. So with that mission laid, let's go deep. How does Quant actually work under the hood? This is where the tech gets real. If you're going to pitch Quant as the trust layer, you need to know the plumbing. Quant's heart is Overledger, DLT, the gateway, the operating system, the interoperability protocol. Important. Overledger is not itself a blockchain. It doesn't run consensus in the same way as Ethereum or Bitcoin. It sits above, orchestrates. Let me walk you through this, through the layers. How data, messaging, commands, logics cross between chains and legacies. Number one, the transition legacy layer. This is the base layer, the blockchains, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP Ledger, Corda, Hyperledger, etc. These are all where transactions are anchored, validated, and stored. Overledger doesn't replace these. It interacts with them. Messaging layer. Above that, Quant creates a messaging / data layer. It collects transactions, data, smart contract messages, states digits from different blockchains and wrap them. It doesn't care about internal ledger consensus. It works with the outputs. This layer imposes structure, schema, logic, and other messagings to forward the blockchain, how to order cross-chain actions and maintain consistency. Think rules, validation, and message filtering. This is where your multi-chain or cross-system apps live, the MD apps, multi-DLT apps. These run logic that can trigger actions across chains in a single orchestration. Move funds on chain, write state on other, and update legacy DBs as a single coherent flow. These also Overledger Fusions, sometimes called layer 2.5 or multi-layer rollups, that's evolving into support native interoperability without risky bridges. With Fusion, you aim for cross-chain operations, asset transfer, logic executions, and more natively, removing some for wrap tokens or synthetic bridging. Let me illustrate a hypothetical for you. You build a MD app, a global payment plus compliance. It issues an instructions to pay someone in BTC. It also updates in registry on Hyperledger for KYC or audit. It triggers a side effect in the bank internal database, the legacy. Overledger orchestrates and ensures those are executed in proper order. Messages are consistent and either all succeed or rolled back. Because Quant sits above, integrates deeply, the developer doesn't need to build individual bridges per chain or manage every consensus detail.
So what is that? What does all that mean?
It means that basically because Quant sits above all of these other layers, it don't need individual bridges. It can act as the bridge between all of these other consensus.
So I have a way to kind of fit it all together. So what I was trying to do earlier.
It'll be the trust layer that allows. Hold on, let me finish this, bro, and I'll let you get to it. It's gonna be the trust layer that allows all of these systems to talk to each other in sequence, and it ain't gonna be like the Swift system. That's where you get all the friction because one messaging system is speaking to another messaging system, which is speaking to another messaging system, but it's not going in our order. You feel me? So Quant will allow the messaging and the sequence to be put in order, so it'll be exactly how the messaging came through. Who need to know what at the exact time that they need to know it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, so what I was doing earlier was like, I was trying to put it all together because again, you want interoperability, right? So you want all of these systems to work together. You don't want to eliminate one of them, right? So the goal is not to eliminate the Swift system or eliminate the Linea system or eliminate the XRP system or eliminate the XLM system. It's all meant to work together, right? Each one of them is going to do something. So Quant's different though. Quant's not a chain. It's not DeFi and it's not payments. It's simply the middleman, right?
It's the trust layer.
So the way it's kind of like this Linea. So if you're going to connect all three of these together, we're going to connect Linea, right? The payment system Linea, the new one that Swift is working with, XRP, the payment rails, right? The liquidity rails, and Quant. Right, so Linea is going to bring scalability to Ethereum. It's an Ethereum-based product, right? It's the most important smart contract hub. That's where all your smart contracts are going to come from. It's from that Ethereum Linea scalability. The XRP ledger is going to bring liquidity and payment rails, powering the settlement and tokenization. Quant is going to bring interoperability, connecting not just the blockchains, but the banks, the enterprises, and governments. So think about it like this. Linea is going to be the engine.
you gotta break it
XRP is
down
the
in layman
fuel.
terms, bro.
Yeah, so like
You
this. So think about like
because
a
quant
car. It
because
says right
quant
here,
is
Linea is the engine, XRP is the fuel, and Quant is the transmission system connecting it all together to the world.
yeah,
Um,
bro, but that ain't gonna tell people who don't understand what interoperability is. All you got to make sure they understand is this is the layer that's gonna allow all of these systems to communicate with each other and trust one another. To be able to trust what this system is saying to this system, they need quant to be in the middle of, or a mediator or something between those two systems so that they can actually talk to each
so
other
if
and not
someone was
get
wanting to
confused.
invest in Quant, like what would they need to invest in Quant?
I mean,
Can I put
that's
like $10 in it or something, like $20 or
that's up to the person. It like you got to follow structures of investing. You can only invest disposable cash. I wouldn't advise anybody know what to do with their money because I'm not your financial advisor and I can't advise you anything. But
right?
um,
But like say me, I'm
if
asking you and I'm
if
like if it was
if
me and
you
I'm saying, "Hey, out of these three coins, let's say XRP, right? And Quant
mhm,
and H bar, and I only had like very limited resources to invest. Which one
I
of
would
these, should I be really looking at?
I mean if you had limited resources,
Like if I only had
the
like $50, and that's what I'm wanting to invest, and that's all I got right now.
okay, well, you would base that off of the research that you have done and which one of those tokens is more compelling to you, which one that you identify with more, which one do you believe is the most undervalued? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And based off of that, that's what you would probably invest in. Now, if you had, let's say, a little about $500, then you could maybe diversify it into all three of
So
them
is
if you
Quant
want.
in
Maybe
like in one of your top fives? Like is it one of your top five coins?
um no,
Okay.
Quant is not my top five, but it's based off of my income.
Right.
Now, for people who have a little more income than I have, then it probably would be in my top five because I know it is as well very undervalued because none of these systems will ever even be able to talk to the blockchain if it ain't for people like Quant and Polkadot and a couple of more chains. So yeah, it's way undervalued. But for the amount of money that I have and that I'm willing to invest, well, for that same $100 that I'm gonna spend on one quant token, hell, I can get 35, almost 40 XRP. So, I would probably go with the XRP because I'm looking for ROI. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I mean, but it's
It's
always
not
to get,
financial advice. I mean, we're not telling people to buy something. I'm just saying, out of top picks, if I was to pick the top three coins that I wanted to invest in, if I only have a limited number of dollars to invest
yeah,
in,
bro. I mean, that's what I was just about to do. I was gonna shoot one back at you. Give me your top picks if you had $500. How would you work it?
well, I would probably, as of right now, I would diversify my portfolio probably 70, 20, 10, and I would probably go 70% into XRP,
Okay,
20% into the
okay.
Flare network,
Why,
and
why, why 70% XRP?
well, I'm a firm believer in XRP. I mean, that I've been in this XRP thing for a year now, uh, which isn't very long. I mean, some of these people have had to go through this SEC case and lawsuit for the last 5 years and have to hold it down and go through all that, drop from $3.60 all the way down to 11 cent, and then up from 11 cent to the 50 cent range and bouncing between 20 cent and 50 cent for the last 5 years. Um, but And luckily, it's only been a year for me, but still, ever since I started researching um, what's going on with XRP, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. I mean, the amount of utility that XRP has as a utility token is wild, and the amount of stuff that they keep adding to the XRP ledger and the AMM pools on the ledger that people can buy into. I mean, so you have to remember every token that's created on the XRP ledger has an AMM pool, which means that people can lock XRP into those liquidity pools by however many that they want to put that much liquidity in. So if they want to inject 50 million XRP tokens into a new project on the XRP ledger, you have to remember those 50 million XRP tokens are now locked into that liquidity pool for an extended amount of period of time, because most people don't pull their liquidity out of a project until the project matures, because it would be silly to pull your funds out prematurely, right? That's a loss of money. So there's a lot of things that are coming to the XRP ledger that's going to cause XRP supply shock. All right, you keep hearing about XRP supply shock. That's going to be part of the XRP supply shock. I was diving deep earlier about the ETFs that's coming for XRP next month with Grayscale and all the other ones, and how much available XRP is there right now to purchase for those spot ETFs, because those institutions cannot go private and purchase those spot ETF XRPs. That's already been determined by the SEC in the lawsuit. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay, bro. Let me get back to Quant. We
yeah,
ain't
we'll go
gonna
back
get
to quant. Sorry,
let me
getting off topic.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
that
can
would be
talk
my
about that
top
all
three. It
day.
would be H
Yeah.
bar, Flare, and XRP.
Okay, bet. Okay, so getting back to Quant, when we speaking of the trust layer, what does this mean? Okay. Quant provides guarantees that messages are delivered, ordered, and validated. Okay. The system becomes durable, middle where trust is encoded into the flow, right? Participants don't need to blindly trust each other. That's what I was trying to tell you. They don't need to know. XRP network don't have to trust Hedera's network, nor do Hedera network have to trust Cardano's network, because Quant sits in between each and every one of them and makes them interoperable to trust, so that the trust is between all of them via Quant. Do that make sense, bro?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah, that
understand what
makes
I just
sense.
said?
Sorry, I had to mute my
Okay.
mic because I got the baby fixing to be coming in the house.
Uh, okay, but so that's basically why I was saying that Quant is the trust layer, because it's gonna sit between everything that's going on chain and and the blockchain and the legacy rails and the blockchain, or the blockchain network versus the other blockchain network. They're all going to be able to communicate with each other through things like Quant. Okay, so again, participants don't need to blindly trust each other. The trust over ledger protocol and validators is in the Quant layer. Okay, it mediates between trustless blockchains and trusted legacy systems. And that's what I was just speaking on. Whether it's coming from the legacy system or whether it's coming from another blockchain network, they don't have to know each other's network, because Quant, Polkadot, and I'm not sure what other tokens is, because I haven't really dug too deep into any of the rest of them besides a little Polkadot. Quant is what I'm more bigger on when it comes to the trust layer, but I'm sure there's a few more blockchain networks that's trying to work on this problem as well. So, That's the core architecture, but the architecture is empty until modules start serving real use cases. Let's move there, okay? You've seen the engine. Now look what Quant is building around it. This is the base. It offers APIs, connectors, developers, SDKs, getaway modules to tie any chain or system into the multi-ledger world. Developers pay licensing, service fees, and Quant tokens to use the Overledger. MD apps, the multi DLT decentralized apps. That's what MD apps are. These apps operate across multi-chains, logics, stake, transfer spanning ledgers. Developers wrote once, deployed across. Okay, Quant Flow. Quant's push into making money programmable. They're trying to make money programmable, okay? Connecting bank accounts / stable coins and inner ledgers, automating payments, compliance, and treasury flows. The idea is to bring programmable logic to everyday money systems. They're trying to make money programmable via the Quant Flow, okay? They advertise that Flow allows automation of cross-border payments, liquidity optimization, rules logics, money flows without forcing banks to scrap their systems, okay? The Quant Fusion. As mentioned, this is a multi-layer roll-up, the infrastructure that helps native interoperability without bridges. It ties to reduce friction, security risk, reliance on synthetic layering, licensing and ecosystem module, okay? The enterprise pays for licensing to connect to use overlayer services, API nodes. Those fees are denominated in Quant or converted, so there is a real token demand for actual usage, okay? This is kind of how they're going to utilize Quant and connect all of these things. They're going to have to utilize the actual Quant token. And this is what's going to give Quant its value, okay? This is why so many people say Quant will be a high price, because all of these legacy rails that already exist, which probably is thousands of different companies that need to move on chain, will have to own and utilize the Quant token to do so, okay? The gateway operators may stake or hold Quant, act as a validator in certain roles. Because Quant is aimed at enterprise adoption, they balance performance, compliance, privacy, and module openness. So Quant isn't just abstract architecture. They are building these modules to capture real-world workflows, money systems, compliance, and bridging legacy plus blockchain. You guys, y'all following me. I hope y'all getting this with me, okay? Now, this is where the stakes get real, because it doesn't matter how beautiful your architecture is. If you can't plug into legacy systems, you're a fancy toy, not infrastructure. Quant aims to connect banks, core banking systems, SWIFT, international payments engines, and accounting systems, central bank CBDCs, digital fiat, tokenized deposits, enterprises with existing databases, ERPs, CRMSs, traditional rails like ACH, SEPA, ACH, POS, clearinghouses. And here is how Quant is at minimal disrupting, you know what I mean? So Quant's pitch: no forced migrations, you have to rip out your old system to introduce you to the new system. No, that ain't what Quant is doing. You introduce Overledger as the middleware via APIs and gateways to connect. These are going to be the connectors, right? In fact, Quant aims to a Quant X event that they reduced what used to take 8 months and 3 months for enterprise blockchain integration down to 8 minutes and 3 lines of code. You retain your internal system, policies, compliance, and Quant bridges what you need into blockchain or on cross-chain flows. Now, the compliance, the privacy, and the permission, right? Enterprises and banks can require permission access, KYCs, AML layers, gateways that gate which nodes processes what. Quant doesn't force public exposure. Okay, you can take off-chain assets, tokenize securities, stablecoins, or fiat, and push them into blockchains via Overledger. While maintaining audits, trials, dual recording keeping, these flows can interoperate across chains. Now, I'm just giving you the infrastructure on how all of this goes and how this is going to work. Quant is also working with central banks, government bodies, and their tokenizing initiatives, exploring how digital currencies of nations and TradFi, or traditional financing, rails can interoperate with cross-border. A real-world example is, imagine a multinational corporation. Their accounting and ERPs is in SAP. They want to pay suppliers globally, some denominated in USD, some in Euro, some in stablecoins. They want to distribute dividends in tokens from across chain, but still record in their inner ledger. Quant system can orchestrate those flows, instruct blockchain transfers, update internal DBs, enforce compliance, audit all sides in one transaction. This is amazing. That's crazy. Did y'all just hear that, man? That's wild. Because Quant is the trust layer, you don't have to trust each counterpart. You trust the orchestration guarantees. That's the version of putting legacy rails on chain via a trusted middleware. But the version has friction. Let's confront that. So these would be the risks and the challenges for Quant. Let's keep it honest. No tech is flawless. Here are the risks Quants must beat to become the trust layer. Banks and enterprises are conservative. They don't change critical systems lightly. Even as Quant is elegant, adoption is slow, returns are long. Complexity and integration. Every bank, every legacy system, every country has bespoke systems. Quant must build many connectors, deal with legacy's mess, regulatory variances, and some argue why Quant, if fees can be paid in fiat and Quant can convert, is Quant really necessary? Reddit debates this. Is the token redundant at scale? If the token is removed or bypassed, the economy module falters, right? So if Quant is removed or bypassed, the economy model falters, then I would agree that it's needed. You know what I mean? But I digress. Security and trust centralization. If Quant becomes the trusted middleware, it carries massive responsibility. If the Overledger trusted nodes or gateways are compromised, trust collapses. If governance If governance is opaque and upgrades happen badly, clients may not accept it. Competition and alternative. Other interoperability protocols. Here we go. This is what I was telling you. I didn't know all of them, but it don't seem to be one more. Cosmos, Polkadot, and Bridges are middleware players may evolve. Quant must stay technically superior and enterprise trusted. Also, relying on bridges, synthetic assets or wrapping in older versions has attacked surfaces, regulatory legal risks. Working with banks and governance means regulatory KYC, AML compliance, audits if regulatory regimes change. Quant has to adapt or risk being blocked. So Quant's mission is high risk, high barrier, but if they succeed, they become the foundation. Now let's talk about the bull case, which victory looks like. Here's the bull case for Quant and its future roadmap. Um, Once a few banks, governments adopt, others will follow because interoperability value. Entrenched position. Middleware is hard to displace once trusted. Token module tied to usage. As Overledger usage grows, Quant's fees, locking, and staking increases. Bridges between TradFi and Web3. Quant becomes an on-ramp and the translator to compliance and the gatekeeper. The cross-chain native flows via Fusion. As Fusion matures, Quant reduces friction and becomes more efficient. If money moves not just as a token, but as logics, payments compliance is built in. That's a whole new dimension. Enterprises integrations, banks and governments announcing Overledger adoption is what we're watching for. The fusion of mainnet or production deployment, escrow and staking, token metrics, how much Quant is locked, usage and flows, the ecosystem growth, how many DApps, how many connectors, regulatory movements around CBDCs, tokenization, interoperability, and standards, ISO, etc. And the reason we are even bringing up Quant today, because me and my brother was speaking, and as we were speaking, we was looking at Quant, and I always kind of look at it every once in a while because I'm looking for when Quant start to move. In my mind and in my opinion, it shouldn't be too much longer that you start to see some of these ISO tokens move as well, because if Quant is moving, then that means things are starting to be moved from the legacy rails onto the blockchain. So that's what even made us bring up this video. We were talking about how it all was happening, and I was telling them that it was Quant that was most likely going to use. But of course, there's a few more networks and platforms, and I'm not hating on any. I just haven't done the research on any of those, so I wouldn't be able to tell you as much about Cosmos, Polkadot, or Bridges, but I do know a little bit about Quant, so that's the reason we're here. If Quant becomes the backbone, you won't see it. You'll just see the system working seamlessly. That's the trust layer. Let's take a quick break for this listener quote guides. So, if there was a question that anybody could propose to you, brother, about how these ledgers are interoperable together, and how they work through one another.
Well,
how would you?
I have it pulled up on the screen here.
Okay, sorry.
Basically, how the whole system is going to work between permissionless blockchains, existing networks, and then permissioned blockchains. Um, it's kind of like they have it done as like Ripple, Stellar, EOS, Ethereum, Quorum, Bitcoin, IOTA, Hyperledger, all of those, at the bottom, like on Earth, right? And
Hmm.
all of your blockchains and overledgers and all that stuff are satellites. Okay, so they're in outer space. In between Earth and outer space, where those satellites are, the Overledger, these blockchain operating systems and stuff like that, is the constellation or the hypergraph. That's the communication system. That's where all those messages are going to be sent through that constellation, through the hypergraph, which we all know what the hypergraph is, right?
Hmm.
H bar
Hmm.
is the hypergraph. So it'll go through H bar, through the hypergraph, into the satellites and communicate. Single gateway to connect with underlying blockchain infrastructure, interoperability, and utilizing features from several blockchains for rapid development. Companies can use Gateway and Quant to connect to blockchains and mobile apps. And then the Overledger is the blockchain operating system to connect supported blockchains with 3 lines of code and create mobile apps. So you have the Overledger, which is the operating system, Quant, which is the main hub, and then that's the communication system through the constellation to the networks and blockchains. If you come down here, it kind of gives you another picture of all of the companies working together through Quant. So you have CBDCs, the Digital Euro Association, XRP Ripple, Bitcoin, LCX, the Constellation, which is H bar, Ethereum.
Nah, bro, the H bar, not the constellation,
Oh,
bro.
no,
I'm
no.
sorry. It's I think it's the Constellation Network. It's the
Okay.
DAG, yeah, the Constellation Network. I think, but it's easy to get confused because both of them are.
Or hypergraphs.
But H bar is actually hash graph and
Okay.
hypergraph. Yeah, so that's what we was. But you're on the right track. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then you have the ISO, right?
Mhm.
20022 compliance.
Absolutely.
The Hyperledger, Swift, right? All of these are all the government of UK, Swiss Bank Exchange, the International Association of Blockchain Applications, the United Nations. All of that is all tied together. The legacy infrastructure, they're all here together as all tied together. So again, it's not that one's going to eliminate another one. This one's not out to eliminate this next one. A lot of stuff in the crypto world, it's like, oh well, this coin's going to take over this coin, and this coin's Solana is the Ethereum killer, and it's gonna take over Ethereum, and Sui is the Solana killer, and yeah, all this stuff is like the coin's not meant to kill another coin.
And that's another
These
thing, man. We
systems were
got to
built.
start
These
coming.
companies were built to come together to work
Yeah,
together.
we got to do that as communities, man. We can't just be because it don't work if all of it don't work. This is all it's another ecosystem. You kind of look at it like the bee system in the world. Like if we didn't have bees, nothing would get pollinated, and we'll have a lack and a breakdown in the ecosystem. Well, that's kind of how all of these networks work as well. With one thing, some of these things won't work without the other things. So we kind of need them all, and we kind of got to get out of that mind frame of one community over the other. Man, it's like it's better if we all together. Sorry, go ahead, brother. And before I turn it back over, another thing I was speaking on, the difference and the confusion that we be getting, a lot of us, even me sometimes I say it wrong, between Hedera and the constellation is that Hedera calls itself it's a hash graph, but it calls itself Hedera, and the constellation just calls itself constellation, but it's a hash graph versus a hypergraph, and those are the differences. So when you think of Hedera, just think of hash, and when you think of constellation, of course, hyper, and those are the differences. But they do two different things as well. Hedera is the enterprise that's focused and governed by a council of giants, which is Google, IBM, Boeing, etc. You can look into their white papers and look into their councilmen and all their paperwork and see who created the token, how it was created, what it's used for, all of that. And then Hypergraph Constellation is a data-driven focused on validating data streams, DoD's contracts, and Web3 infrastructure. So Hypergraph is actually focused on the infrastructure of this whole new financial system. So I'm back to you, my boy.
Yeah, see, we learn. This is how we learn. We learn too. He teaches me things, and I teach him things.
All the time, we good together, man. You know, I got his back, he got mine, and y'all need to find somebody that y'all can rock with like that. That y'all can rock with like that, man, because we all need somebody, bro. So back to where I was going. One listener asked, "What if Quant fails because no one wants to pay Quant licensing?" And I respond that that's a real danger. The value module depends on real usage. So if enterprises don't see ROI, or switching cost is too high, adoption might lag, or any of those things. But if Quant can show cost savings, compliance, risk reduction, it becomes a lot easier for it to sell it, right? You know what I mean? So we just gotta, wait. All things happen in due time. So we'll just keep our eyes on it and see, what type of traction they getting, what type of adoption they actually getting, and how far they actually going. Because if this actually take place, they will be huge, and I mean
So
huge.
Quant chose to partner with Constellation, which built the first official layer zero in the crypto world. Which I didn't even know there was a layer zero. But
Man, hold
Constellation.
on, hold on, bro. Hold on. Say that again.
So Quant has chosen to partner with Constellation, which has built the first official layer zero in the crypto world, in addition to the internet for big data titled Hypergraph. This partnership will see Quant and Constellation collaborating together to build out sandbox environments to test out developing smart and interconnected cities through automated IoT and AI integration. Through the creation of an automated and augmented internet with more robust security and interoperability features. Quant and Constellation are two crypto projects, each with their own respective interoperability features in which their technological potential could take our human civilization further into the next step of digitization. So, you want to run down that rabbit hole?
I'm over here pulling it up now because when you said that, it kind of all of it kind of started
It
clicking,
started
bro.
an
Like,
itch in your brain and you got to scratch it.
yeah, that's crazy. So Quant's Overledger, of course, is a middleware. It's interoperability OS that sits above multi-blockchains and legacy systems, connecting them securely. It doesn't aim to replace blockchains. It aims to orchestrate them. You build multi-DLT apps, MD apps, You can send messages, execute logic, or transfer value across chains seamlessly. Quant also works on programmable money, Quant flows, connecting bank accounts, stablecoins, internal ledgers, and embedding logic rules into money flows. Hypergraph constellation. The hypergraph is a global layer zero. Of course, brother just said that, and is working as the final source of truth. Oh, that's what the connection is. Okay, okay, okay. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. We're gonna save that for the show tomorrow because that's some that'll take me down a whole another place. So we are going to go back here. Um, so that is crazy, man. That just blew my mind. Sorry, y'all. So quant isn't sexy to many. Okay, it's not about moonshots or memes. It's about the plumbing. It's about trust. It's about bridging the old world and the new world without burning each other down. If Quant succeeds, every financial system, every blockchain, every legacy database flows through it invisibly, reliably. So, yeah, Quant is aiming to be the trust layer. Yes, it's trying to put legacy rails on chain. And my job tonight was to make sure that you can see the bridges that are being built right in front of you. The adoption curve. I'm your host, Crypto General. He's your host, Crypto Kurt. And we're thanking you for riding this deep dive with us. Next week, we're going to do a little comparison of Quant and a little more deep diving into the Hyperledger and even into Cosmos and Polkadot and bring you guys a little more information on those because I also need to be more informed on those tokens, which are all interoperability. The stack is real, so stay curious, stay skeptical, and build the rails while others chase toys. This is your boy from Set It Off, Set for Life.
Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can tune in to us whenever we go live or whenever we drop some content for you. Make sure you check out the links in the channel. We got the Discord links in there.
Links the script down below, man.
The Coinbase links. We got all the links that you might need to reach out to us or to get started on this crypto journey. We also got the setforlifeclothing.com link in the channel. Make sure you go check out the website, get you some Set for Life clothing gear. It's really good clothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really good quality. We really
appreciate all of the support, you spending your time watching us and getting this information. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow night because we're gonna me and my brother we're fixing to go down this rabbit hole for this layer zero and constellation and quant stuff. We're gonna see what's really going on behind all of this, and we're gonna bring y'all some more in-depth information tomorrow. So y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. As always, we really appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Y'all have a good night.
We out.